Mike Geig, and welcome to another one of our live training sessions on Unity. This time we will be talking about endless side-scrolling platformer tutorial. I also mentioned object pooling there, and so here is where we're going to talk about exactly what I meant. 2 seconds is long enough for it to be off of the screen, and you know, that's fine, right? So after 2 seconds, each one of these bullets destroys themselves, okay? And then finally, we have our ship that fires the bullets, all right? And what we have here is we basically have a fire time of 0.05 seconds, and then our bullet object, and then we just have an invoke repeating where we instantiate a bullet, okay? So that's all that's happening here. The ship is firing a ton of bullets, and you know they're destroying themselves. Okay, so with that setup in mind, what we want to do is we want to pool these objects, and we're going to use a list to do that. Normally we could use an array, but we're going to use a list just so we can kind of have some flexibility with it, and kind of go from there. So what we want to go through is we want to first create a collection of bullets, right, and set them all to inactive, right, and then basically when we need one, we set it to active and fire it, right, and then it will turn itself inactive instead of destroying itself, thus putting it right back into our collection. Real quick here, I'm going to read through the chat because I see we have some questions. Let's see here. Is there a point when instantiate destroy won't hurt your game? You know, if you have just a couple of them, or it's not a ton, or the objects themselves aren't doing, you know, a lot of heavy lifting, then it's fine, right? Instantiate destroy, you know, ultimately you're going to have some of it, and that's not a problem. The problem is when you have thousands and thousands of objects being instantiated and destroyed, or when those objects do really heavy lifting in their start methods or when they're destroyed. That's the sort of stuff that'll kill you, right? So if you run your game and, you know, your objects being instantiated and destroyed aren't a bottleneck for your game, if your game is running fine, then fine, leave it, right? But if you're running your game and you're seeing that your code, your instantiation and destroy are taking up a large chunk of your game and really hurting, here, or it's just moving. I don't really care about that one. I just wanted to show it to you. But my bullet destroy script, because the very first culprit is that the bullets destroy themselves after 2 seconds. All right. And so what I'm going to do, whenever the bullet is enabled to happen, instead, what we want to happen is we want these bullets to just deactivate themselves, right? Just set themselves to not active. That's all we really needed to do. And then they'll stop being updated and whatnot, and we can just reactivate them when we need them. All right. So what I'm going to do is I don't need a start method at all. In fact, I don't want start method. I want to use what's called void on enable. And again, I'll apologize for my keyboard. Some of you are offended by my mechanical keyboards. Not a whole lot I can do about that. It is loud. Sorry. And so what I'm going to do, whenever the bullet is enabled, not just created, right? Because the start method only happens when it's created, but I'm no longer creating bullets. I'm just activating them after they've been created one time. So we're going to use on enable, which will happen every time they're activated. So when they're activated, I'm going to invoke a method called destroy, which doesn't exist yet. And I'll do that after 2 seconds. So this is like calling destroy on it, but we're going to write our own disabled and then attempting to enable and then immediately disabling itself, and you going, why is that happening? I'm just going to cancel any invokes that that are queued up so that we don't have any issues there. All right. Sorry about that. I warned you about the coughing. All right. Modify how we're firing these bullets, right? And so that is our very next step, which means when the game starts, we're going to create 20 bullets and put them in this collection. Now, that means two things. One, if your game ever only uses 5 bullets at a time, that means 15 bullets are going to be wasted memory. And this is true, right? They're going to be instantiated but never used, okay? So you kind of want to get your pooled amount to be close. However, even though we have some wasted memory, what's not going to happen is the garbage collection isn't going to be called at random times, and we're not going to have spikes of memory. We're not going to have objects in memory all over the place. We're going to have one consistent use of consistent memory usage, and that's what we're going for. So object pooling is great for mobile. Almost my pooled list of bullets. Object pooling can help with that a lot. And so object pooling is great for mobile, almost mandatory for mobile. So just keep that in mind. What I did when I tested this is I ran it in a browser. And running it in a browser with limited capabilities as well is another great way to see how much object big deal here. And then I'm going to say for int I equals 0, I is less than pooled amount. And I spelled that wrong. Pooled amount. I plus plus. So we're just going to create all of these objects. I'll create a temporary holder, which I'm just going to call game objects, or a temporary game object holder, which I'm just going to call obj. And that's going to equal game object I'm just casting here, instantiate. What am I going to instantiate? I'm going to instantiate a bullet. All right, just like that, nice and simple. I'm just instantiating a bullet, and I'm setting it into obj. And then obj, I'm going to say set active equals false. I'm not using it right now, I'm just pooling it for later. All right, and then I'm going to add to my list bullets.add obj. There we go. So now my bullets have been pooled. Okay, which means when this game starts up, my ship is going to create 20 bullets, put them in a pool, and now they're just ready to be used. They're just sitting there like bullets in a magazine of a gun. They're just sitting there ready. They just haven't been used yet. All right. Okay, one of the questions, how many objects can you pool together? You can pool, I mean, as many objects as you want or need, but basically, you want to avoid pooling different types of objects together, right? Because then you're going to get into some weird code. And you basically, what we're using polymorphism to make this work, and you can use more polymorphism to have different types of objects in there, but then the code gets crazy. You have to make sure that the right object is both inactive and of the right object before doing anything with it and stuff like that. So we're going to look at, after this, we're going to create a generic pooler class that you guys can build off of to do more robust pooling. So this is just my solution, and then we're actually going to build off of that to create a pooler. Yeah, stuff like that. So, all right. So here I've now successfully pooled my bullets, right? I've created my list, and I've created 20 bullets and put them in that list. This part is effectively done. My start method is finished, and now I'm going to start firing bullets really, really quickly. So the rest of the work comes here in my fire method. Sorry about that. And so what I'm going to do is every time we need to fire a bullet, I need to find one that's not currently active. I obviously do not want to fire bullets that are already active. And so what I'm going to say is for int I equals 0, I is less than pooled amount. And actually, instead of what I'm going to do, instead of pull amount, is I'm going to say bullets. That's weird. Stop messing me up. Bullets.count. All right, I plus plus. So this is just going to loop through this list, and I'm going to say if not bullets sub I dot active in hierarchy. So that means that this bullet is not currently active. I'm looking for an inactive bullet because that's the one I'm going to fire. So if the bullet dot not, or if not bullets sub I dot active in hierarchy, then I'm going to fire it. And the way I fire it is this. I'm going to say bullets sub I. I'm actually just going to copy this because I say it a bit. Bullets sub I dot transform dot position equals transform dot position. All right, the position of the ship. Right, that's what I want. I want it to be fired from the ship. And then I'm saying bullets sub I dot transform dot rotation. And that's going to equal the transform dot rotation, again, of the ship, so the bullet is fired the way the ship is facing. And then finally, bullet sub I dot set active equals true. That's going to activate my bullet. And now it's going to go flying off into space because it's a bullet. And then break, because I don't want to activate a whole bunch of bullets. All right? So at this point, our object pool